Hello, everyone, and welcome back to People Do Want to Know podcast. This week, I'm doing some bonus drop episodes that should feel like cozy little coffee breaks featuring people that are chasing cool dreams out here in New York City. These kinds of episodes are perfect for a quick break during work or on your commute, so I hope you enjoy them. Obviously, as the podcast has grown, I'm trying to offer as many interesting conversations as possible. And today, I'm very excited to introduce you to a fun New York City personality and comic, Rachel Lander. Rachel is a software engineer from the Upper East Side who decided that one stressful career wasn't enough, so now she does stand up too. Her comedy explores family, work, Jewish identity, and the absurdities of city life. She performs across New York City and shares her material online, where her reels highlight her sharp timing and unmistakably New York yet uniquely deep voice. Rachel's comedy is super relatable, and what I like about her is that she's able to have her full time career in addition to her creative outlet. And this is something that I'm doing myself as I host this podcast and keep working my full time corporate job. So it's always great to chat with someone who just gets it. I'll share a little more details in the episode itself, but I came across Rachel at the Jewish Dating Game. The Jewish Dating Game is a live audience dating show where the host, Linnea, attempts to set up a bachelor or bachelorette with their perfect match. Basically, the bachelor or bachelorette comes out on stage, and so do the potential matches, but they can't see each other during the show. Through a live conversation, the bachelor or bachelorette figures out which potential match they like the best, and then they meet each other at the end and get to go on a date. So it's like Love is Blind, kind of, I guess, but also Jewish and comedic. And you don't have to get engaged at the end, I guess. That's a big difference. Now, just be aware that maybe your very own host, Margarita, may end up on this show at some point, but I don't know, and I'm not spoiling anything. Anyway, that night, Rachel was a contestant fighting to win a date with The Bachelor. The fun part of the show is that none of the contestants can share what they do for work. But as I mentioned in the episode, when I heard Rachel start responding to The Bachelor's questions, I knew she was a comic right away. She was so funny on that show. And so after it ended, we met briefly, and that's when I invited her on the podcast. I'll also add that Rachel is 6 feet tall, if not taller. She has a really fun style and an energetic demeanor, but I will say that The Bachelor that night was definitely not tall enough for her, so I hope she does find her gentle giant soon. Please enjoy this lighthearted chat, and if you're in New York City, now there's another comic you can check out. Hello, Rachel. Welcome to People Do Want to Know podcast. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Hello, good to be here.
Indeed, it is. I am still reflecting on our time from the Jewish Dating Game. That must have been like maybe a month or two ago at this rate. It was my first
Yeah,
time going to the show. I loved
same.
it. And
Yeah.
I told you this that when I watched you, you were a contestant competing for a bachelor and you
Yes.
were way out of his league.
Fiercely competing.
Just to be
Yeah.
clear.
No, I agree. Yeah.
But as soon as I heard you answer the questions, I knew that you were a comic immediately.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I guess I was born to be a comic rather than a comic, rather than the other way around.
Yeah, it was an awesome show. I was so just like enamored with your answers and how quickly they came to you and how natural you were on stage. And it felt like I was listening to a close friend answer questions about dating. And I
Oh,
think that
thank
that's a
you.
very special gift that you
Thank
have,
you.
just predisposing the audience to be like, you guys already know me. You already know what I think. You know how I'm going to
Yeah,
answer.
you know me.
Right. It's a very powerful talent that you have. And I'm very excited to dig into your story today. Tell us about yourself. What do you do and how did you get there?
Yes. Hello, fans, everyone. I'm Rachel Lander. I am a comedian and also software engineer by day. How did I get there? Kind of just followed what I like doing, like as far as how I got to comedy. I don't know. I've been doing stand up for 6 years. I'd say the last year I've been doing it a little bit less and kind of doing more like stand up adjacent things and more like other comedy like things. I guess Jewish Dating Game, great example. And yeah, before that, I had never done comedy before. I just kind of wanted to do it. It always sounded interesting to me. I think I'd even heard a few comedians on a podcast talk about their personalities. And I was like, that's my personality. Like, I like to make my doctors laugh and I like to make boys laugh and friends. And that's always my number one priority. So maybe I should try this out and see. And yeah, I took an improv class and did not like it. I did not like that my humor was subject to everyone else's. I kind of like wanted ownership over my own work. So yeah, then I tried stand up and just kept on doing it. Yeah. And then software engineering kind of also the same. Had other jobs and then I was like, oh, this seems interesting. And then taught myself coding. So here we are today doing it.
What I love about your work is that you're one of those people, usually when people pick up side projects or passions or hobbies, especially creative ones, they feel the pressure to make that then their full-time thing. And you're
Mhm.
somebody that's very open about the fact like, no, I enjoy my creative outlet because I don't feel any pressure to have to do it for income or for money or for any specific outcome. It's very freeing. There's no pressure that way.
Yeah, which by the way, I would love money and income and all that. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm one of the few people who actually likes their job. So that kind of puts me in a unique position where if I were just doing my job, like part of my brain wouldn't be satisfied. And I were just doing creative, like the math side of my brain wouldn't be satisfied. So to me, like the combination of the two is what I have to do, like what makes me feel intellectually fulfilled. So yeah, I would never want to, I think, chase after comedy full time or like just do engineering with no creative outlet or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm very like in my own feelings all the time and I try to listen to my body and figure out what I want to do to live a fulfilling life, which feels very Jewish of me.
Speaking of, tell me a little bit about your Jewish upbringing. You're born and raised in New York in a proud Jewish
Yeah.
family. Walk me
Oh,
through
yeah.
your experience.
Yeah. Born and raised on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. My family has been in New York for 150 years. New York City, the five boroughs. I am fifth generation born in New York City, which is crazy. I think like probably the longest amount of time Jews have been anywhere in recent times. My dad is from the Bronx. He grew up Orthodox. And my mom was born in Brooklyn, but she was raised on Long Island. And her family, I guess, reform, but like they never went to synagogues. They were kind of secular, but her dad, my grandpa, was a kosher caterer. So she was kind of Jewish through the food lens, and my dad was Jewish through being an Orthodox Jew. And I was raised conservative, kind of like somewhere in the middle, but I definitely am around all the Jewish teaching. Like my dad knows everything. I think anyone who grows up Orthodox knows everything about Judaism. So I definitely grew up with all of the teachings and all of that, but we compromised on a lot so that I could live like a secular life. But also growing up in New York, everyone's Jewish around you. So that is another thing where you can kind of be less. But yeah, I always had a very strong education in it.
One of the things that I keep coming back to as I interview Jewish comics is there's always this, I feel like, critique in the back of people's minds that, like, oh, well, if you're a Jewish comic, the material you have is too niche. But when I watch your material, that's not a problem whatsoever. Even though you're openly Jewish and you talk about Jewish things, you find a way to bring everybody to the table and help them feel like they understand what's going on. In the same way that when I watched you on the show, you were kind of like, everybody already knew who you were, even though nobody knew you. Which
Yeah,
can you talk me
that makes me
through
laugh
that?
because my mom always says that about me. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, you just walk around and all these people know you. I'm like, yeah, I guess they should. But yeah,
What
going
is
back to
that
your question,
phenomenon? What's going on there? And also, how do you think about material and embedding Jewish themes in there?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, a lot of comedy, I think the hardest part of comedy is finding your voice, finding why you're funny, and developing your own original style from that as a result. And yeah, I think if you wanted to mimic someone, that would be a worthless exercise. Like, really developing your own voice and angle and perspective is really the hardest part. So I've been thinking so much for years, why am I funny? How am I funny? I've tried out all different kinds of personas, which probably aligned with like my 20s where I was trying out a bunch of different things. I think just a phenomenon of comedy, like especially as a woman, it's very easy to just kind of default to sex jokes because that's what hit, like that is the most relatable thing that to people. Like, we are humans, we are put on this earth to procreate from a biological perspective. I believe there's way more meaning to life than that, but ultimately like every human will have sex. So like talking about that is an inherently relatable thing. And I think that's why we default to that. And I had kind of felt like, oh, if I would like talk really inappropriately about my sex life, like that will be relatable. But I felt like as a person, I mean, with my friends, I talk about things, but I'm not that graphic about my sex life, especially when it's like men that I like. I'm not going to like go into detail publicly about them, like necessarily. That's not the style of comedy that I have. And that's not really how I am in the world. What makes me funny is way more just like the daily happenings of my life and like My parents are very funny. When my friends meet them, they always say just like being around them is like all of us are like funny together. So trying to draw on that. And I think over time, the personal aspect and the thinking about what are the core parts to me, what is my angle, what is my view on the world, and building that out has helped shape my comedy. And yeah, I mean, I believe in being genuine and having it be an extension of yourself. You know, not everyone believes that. People do characters on stage that are not at all how they are in real life. Like, to me, it feels easiest to be as similar to myself and then go off stage and continue that, because then jokes in real life will translate directly to on stage. But yeah, I think just like all different kinds of humor, but specifically like sexual humor. I'm trying to think of other jokes. I used to just have like dumb observations. I was like, oh, I could do observational comedy, but all comedy is observational comedy, I realized. It's just your experience of something is your observation. So kind of trying to take out the cleverness or the sexualness and yeah, building it up that way.
I recently watched Jeff Ross's show on Broadway that he
Oh,
wrote,
was it
which is
good?
a
I want to
comedy
see it.
show.
Yeah,
It
no, I
was
heard it's
good.
great. Okay,
And
cool.
what I was most perplexed by is I never really understood what his true sense of humor is, because
Mm,
he blended so many different styles of jokes into one
interesting.
show,
Cool.
where I couldn't gauge like what is his real essence as a comic,
Yeah.
because he didn't have one style, which in and of itself is kind of impressive because that's hard
Yeah,
to
he's got
execute
range, I
too.
think. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, he would come up with the
Is
most
it a one man
interesting.
show? What's it about? Can you tell me?
Yeah, it's a
Because I
one man
just know he
show
has a
about
show.
his life
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
how he grew up, his Jewish upbringing, the values his family instilled in him, the
Is he
difficult
from New York?
Newark, New Jersey.
Newark. Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
and I was really impressed with how proudly Jewish he was and how he talked
Yeah.
about anti-Semitism on stage. He had the most elaborate, jokes about how his German shepherds are Nazis, and then a
Yeah.
stupid one that's like, "Did you guys hear recently that Adele is Jewish? Yeah, her real name is a delicatessen." Like that's so dumb. Like how is that
I
in the
love
same
jokes like that. Just
show?
like the simplest thing that makes you laugh is so good.
I just don't understand how that and this are in the same show, because on the spectrum
Yeah.
of comedy, it's like stupid comedy to highly intellectual comedy with layers all baked in
Yeah.
together. And it is all funny. And I think what people often miss is that comedy is really the element of surprise. Something is funny because it's unexpected and surprising. And maybe the fact that he blended so many different types of jokes into one show is what kept us surprised. And that's why we laugh so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a really mathematical way of thinking about comedy. I studied math in college, and visual arts, but I'm always thinking about things in terms of like math terms. And I used to think about comedy kind of like you have like specific emotions and you have like certain trajectories. And if you can say something, yeah, it's essentially a surprise what you're saying. If you're emotionally going in one direction, kind of to say something that hits the largest difference of how you feel, then like you will laugh. Like if you experience some kind of change, I guess, in emotions, then that will trigger a laugh, which is a really sad and robotic way of thinking about things. But yeah, just like expectation versus reality. If that's like different enough, you can laugh.
And as you were speaking about women in comedy, specifically, what I was thinking about was like, for some reason, sex jokes for women are like the ultimate crutch. I
Yeah.
don't know why, but I can't think of a female comic in America that is not like building her career on the back of sex stories and dating stories. And to me, it's one of those things where I don't understand why that is the case.
Yeah.
Why
I
is
think
that
men do it too.
happening?
We just don't realize it. I think it's kind
Well,
of like something in society. Like every man has jokes about these things too. And yeah, and also like the women who are successful at it are amazing comedians. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just that. It's that sex is the most relatable thing that you can talk about. Because every single person, no matter where you're from, yeah, I know that. I know that thing my body is supposed to do. That feels good to me. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. I, for a while, was like, oh, I'm going to try and be the math comedian. But then I'm like, there's so much more to my personality. Like when I'm at work, I feel very different than everybody else there. When I was in school, I felt very different than everyone else in my classes. And I liked the people a lot, but I just, I don't know. I felt like what made me myself was more than that. So kind of taking in all of these pieces. But yeah, I don't know the answer to your question of why that's become so exciting,
I
a
do think
thing
men
people
have
do.
more diversity of themes than women, though. Like, typically,
Yeah,
if I go on average to a show at the Comedy Cellar that has a
yeah,
lineup of females and males, I would like to bet, if I'm wrong, I want to be corrected, that on average, a woman is going to lean on sex material more than a man
yeah.
in that
I mean,
show, in that
I
reality
yeah,
show.
I don't know. I haven't looked at the stats, but yeah, I think that's very common for a lot of female comics. And it is funny. I think it's just that ultimately it is still taboo for women to talk about that, whether or not we want it to be. That's the truth. And when someone does, it's surprising and it can be really funny. And I mean, it is feminist to be like, all those things that you do, I do them too. I have needs. I bully a man sometimes. I do things in the bedroom that are like whatever. So I don't know. I think it's maybe society. We're still at a place where that's like shocking to people. And then if you get reinforcement, you keep doing it because you're like, oh, that was funny. I'm going to tell it again. I'm going to flesh that out.
Tell me about your latest comedy success. What do you think went well?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if I've had a latest comedy success in a while. I'm working on a cookbook with my mom, which will be all of our New York Jewish recipes, and it'll be written with funny stories to accompany all of them. And then I'm taking pictures of everything. I will hopefully be a success as far as people in my family will be excited about it. Other comedy success, I don't know. Maybe this is exciting. Last night I was at the New York Liberty game, and sitting next to me was the comptroller of New York, Brad Lander, who shares my last name and is Jewish and was a mayoral candidate. And we know each other because we have the same last name. I've introduced myself before. And his sister is also named Rachel Lander. And last night I saw him and was like, oh, hey. And he was like, yeah, my sister told me she knew about you because of your comedy. Like, before I even told her there's this girl that exists in Brooklyn with your name. That was exciting. Other than that, I don't know. I mean, accolades to me are so unimportant to my life, and a lot of that are personal reasons that I just don't measure my happiness based on accolades. And when I have in the past, it's really hurt me.
I love that. I think that's a breath of fresh air in comedy.
Oh,
That's not a
thank you.
frequently held viewpoint whatsoever.
No, it's not. Yeah, I feel like people always talk about this as how they want to live their life, but I truly live my life this way. And I don't know, maybe I'm doing less for it, I'm less successful for it, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with how things are going.
As you're working through this cookbook with your mom, what are the core Jewish memories that are coming to mind for you? And what message do you want to share to Jewish New Yorkers today?
So I guess a little more lore about my family is, yeah, since my mom came from this like kosher catering household, she's been very into cooking Jewish recipes my entire life. So when I was in high school, middle school, we had Shabbat dinner every Friday, and I would always invite over my friends, whether or not they were Jewish. And it kind of developed this fun reputation amongst my friends. You know, my super Catholic friends would be like, all right, like Shabbat at Rachel's, and then we'll hit the club. Like, all right, we'll do a quick Shabbat and then we'll go and party. And that was always really fun. And then I think in college, after college, whatever, we do the same for the Jewish holidays. So I always have like many friends come over. There are some friends who just have a standing invite to all the Jewish holidays every year. Some Jewish, some not. Not that we're trying to spread Judaism, but we love a good meal and we have all of these original recipes that have been in my mom's family, some from my dad's family, but she has been evolving them for decades. And by evolving them, she'll take in like influence from parts of New York. So my mom shops a lot on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, which is like the Italian area. And people there will be like, oh, here's a recipe that I have, or here's a trick that I have when I make this Italian dish. And she'll incorporate parts of that. I guess some of our family inventions have been the spinach matzo ball. That's a good one. I mean, the matzo ball recipe in general has been perfected over years. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, my mom's challah recipe has taken a lot of iterations, a lot of input from Orthodox Jewish Facebook groups. The brisket recipe, a lot of my Jewish upbringing comes through food and then contextualizing things from there.
I wonder also, as a lifelong Jewish New Yorker, what is your message to Jewish people in New York today?
I think we just have to be proud, is all you can do. Like, over the last few years, I think my relationship to Judaism has changed. I think everyone's has. It's just become more important to me. I believe in being like proud every single day, but I have lost a lot of friends over the last few years, and you just have to be okay with that. But I still go into the same spaces. I'm still friends with the same people. And it's almost a sigh of relief to be like, okay, these people like know who I am. They know how I feel. Like they know I'm never coming from a place of hate. But it's been really hard. But I think that's all we can do is just be proud and be honest. because then people will know who you are instead of trying to put words in your mouth because you're trying to fit into a space. Just try not to fit into the spaces, but be in them anyway and be who you are. And then those people that accept you, you'll be better off for it. But it is hard. It's hard to be like rejected from places that used to be places you'd go to all the time. Sure.
A couple of weeks ago, I ran into Fran Lebowitz on the street,
Oh, huge.
which is breaking news, truly, because
That is, yeah.
she's just an icon, right, of New York. And sometimes I get this weird vibe that you guys could be from the same family tree, but I have no basis to say that. That is just a sense that I get.
She's so small.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, my mom, I think just like all Jews from that era are kind of like Larry David. It's everyone's so funny, and just New Yorkers especially, that added element of you're Jewish, you're growing up around literally everyone. Everyone's trying to make it happen. Everyone's trying to be themselves. You're like forced into all these spaces together with all of these different people, which I think is ultimately for the good. But it makes you funny because you're just like, what is going on? You know, it's like anytime I take the subway, I look around and I'm like, all right, there's me. There's literally every single stereotype of person. There's a homeless man. People are like screaming into their phones. If you ever take your headphones out, it's wild. People are just talking, yelling, doing whatever. And we like lock back into our lives. And there's something so funny about that. And I think just people, I don't know, people from New York get it. Not to say that people from New York are funnier, because I don't know if that's true, but something about the New York Jew. I don't know. We got it going on here. We've mastered the suffering.
I always think of Fran for her sharp and witty and quick and kind of contrarian commentary.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a few things
Yeah.
she has not commented on at this rate. And it was just so funny running into her because I was like, hi. Or like, I'm
Did you say
such
you're a
huge
fan?
Yeah, I said, I'm such a huge fan of your work. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. I have a Jewish podcast and I'm so inspired by your commentary on various things throughout the course
Yeah.
of time. And this woman was speechless. She was looking at me like, what the fuck? She probably did not.
I hope she
talk to
said that.
me.
I hope she was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
No, she just said, "Oh, great." And I was like, "Well, have a good night." And she was like, "You too." And so I left. And it made me wonder, what are some of the things that you would want to comment on in New York?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think like human behavior is just interesting. Like, I have lived many lives and I lead many lives. And it's always funny. Like, I have a lot of my friends from college are like cool music ravers. Go to a rave and then I'll go to the Upper East Side and hang out with my family. And then I'm like in Brooklyn in the park having a wholesome picnic. Like, you can do 5 things in the same day.
If you had a dinner party and you had to invite New York legends, who would be at your dinner party? I know Fran would be at mine.
Yeah. I know. Is Adam Sandler a New York legend? I feel like he wouldn't want to be there, but I would invite him. Yeah. Is Mel Brooks? Is that a New York legend?
Maybe. I think if they've lived in New York, we'll count them. Let's make the list broad.
Yeah. Are they Jewish only or no?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay. Ooh, I gotta think about that one. Yeah. Adam Sandler, Mel Brooks. Trying to think who are some women. Michelle Obama, I feel would be really fun. She seems to have a good sense of humor and be cool. Tina Fey is another one. She's not Jewish, but very fun. Honestly, maybe the whole cast of 30 Rock while we're at it.
Even
Character.
Alec Baldwin?
Yeah, I mean, he yells at people. I've heard him like yelling at people in the Hamptons. He's probably funny to be around. Nathan Fielder, that's another Jewish legend. That would be very fun. I don't think any of these people would get along with each other, so it probably wouldn't be fun as a group. But if I wanted to individually chat with them, that would be fun. I don't know, maybe throw my rabbi in there? Because why not?
Who is your rabbi?
Or I go to my parents' synagogue, Park Avenue Synagogue. Elliot Cosgrove.
Oh, so Rabbi Cosgrove is a legend. Seated directly next to Adam Sandler, who he has probably met anyway already.
A million times, yeah.
Okay, well, that sounds like a very lively dinner table that will get into fistfights within 5 minutes. And Michelle Obama will be standing in the corner and looking in awe and confusion.
I feel like she's got a good sense of humor. She seems cool. Like, she seems genuinely cool. I would love to meet her.
Tell me, how can people connect with you on social media and learn more about your work?
Yeah, follow me on Instagram at rlands, RLANDZ, Rachel Lander. I'm on TikTok. I think those are kind of the main ways. You can message me. I respond. I don't have that many followers. So, yeah, I think that's it. You could send me a letter, but I won't tell you my address. So maybe extra homework there if you could figure that out.
Call Rabbi Cosgrove.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be thrilled.
And one final question for you, one that I ask every single guest. Who would you like to nominate for People Jew Want to Know?
Honestly, why don't you get Rabbi Cosgrove on here? That would be fun. Or the cantor of Park Avenue Synagogue, Ozzy Schwartz, also a legend. He is an amazing singer. He does all of these like renditions of old songs, which is kind of controversial because some people want the classics, but I think he's very creative and talented and amazing. So yeah, either one of those highly influential New York Jews.
Thanks so much. This is a fantastic nomination.
Yeah, of course.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars. Be the first to hear our episodes by subscribing to People Jew Want to Know wherever you get your podcasts. And for exclusive content, follow us on Instagram at People Jew Want to Know.